From Ecuador Man, a super chat to begin today's live mailbag. Hall of Fame, this is the Cowboys legend Hall of Fame. Derrick Isaac helped Emmett get signed. It's a good one, Ecuador Man. I'll be sure to put him on the list. We're going through our Cowboys legend meme Ring of Honor players. Get your running back suggestions for me in the comments there, folks. Chris B, we ain't winning with this front office. They suck. What really annoys me is the Cowboys do like 2/3 of their job super well. They identify talent pretty damn well. They are normally able to find some good values in the UFL. They sign some good free agents that offer value more often than not when they're willing to spend more than $1. They draft super well. They develop players pretty decently, but they're terrible at contracts, self-inflicted more often than not, and they don't make aggressive moves. And they kind of limit themselves from, instead of being an A front office, they bring themselves down to a B. And it's tough to win a Super Bowl when you don't have an A front office. And they're close. That's what's so damn annoying to me. A super thanks, $10 from Matt Temple. It is another Cowboys legend, Peerless price. That is a very strong suggestion on that front there, Matt Temple. We will get to the receiver bucket here of the Cowboys legends as well later on this month, actually, I think. From CJ DeYoung III, a $2 super thanks. I'm glad this is in reference, by the way, to the Malik Hooker, Micah Parsons drama. I'm glad this has all come out. We, the fans, are now getting a glimpse into the dysfunction of this organization. Thanks. I'm not happy it came out. I totally get where you're coming from. CJ, I am frustrated by a lot of what has gone on for the Cowboys. I don't think that the airing of the dirty laundry is typically a good thing. I think this happens more frequently with some, distrust, anger, frustration, whatever, with other organizations that happens sometimes too. I don't like the way that this has all come out and been aired publicly. I wish it was kept in-house. It would have made things a lot easier, but it's frustrating how things sometimes don't go the Cowboys' way. We've had some comments already here on the Cowboys front office, so grade the Cowboys front office for me. A, B, C, D, or F. I will make this the pinned comment, by the way, on today's show. So if that ad comes here on the YouTube side of things, that's just fine. Take advantage of it. Head down there. A, B, C, D, or F. From my Cowboys family, we'll get to some super chats here in a second as well. Deal should have been less about CeeDee Lamb. In 2023 and overpaid for $28 million per year. Now CeeDee has leverage because the Joneses allowed it to happen. Clown show. What's super annoying to me is it's not like Lamb's even trying to rake you over the coals if these reports are true, that they just want at least $32 million. That's kind of team-friendly. So, what are we doing here? He could ask you for 36 and played hardball. He's not playing hardball with you. So what are we doing here? Super chat time from We Don't Wipe These 304s. Who's worse, Stephen A. or Craig Carton? Yes. By the way, I thought the ESPN coverage from I didn't watch any of it, but what I was told of Stephen A. Smith not knowing who was being drafted is hilarious. Seriously? He gets paid way too much and has to do way too much as a result. So Stephen A. Smith as a character actor is funny. Maybe I go with Craig Carton there. Chris B. says they think Cooks and Gilmore count for this year. That was literally the argument from the Dallas Morning News. That they claimed that the claim that the Cowboys were unhappy with, or McCarthy was unhappy with the handling of contracts is unlikely because they traded for Cooks and Gilmore and signed Kendricks. It's like going to your kid goes to you, Daddy, I'm hungry. You go, why are you hungry? You had dinner last night. It's a day later. You need more than that. It's ridiculous. And I want everyone to spam Anthony McMillan in the comments. $250 super chat. I'm taking my free PTO day to play college football 25. Everyone spam AM in the comment section. I appreciate that, Anthony. You are the true MVP here at the Cowboys Report. Thank you so much. If you didn't know, I was bosses told me $250 super chat. I get a free PTO day to play college football 25. Anthony delivers. All right, over to M here. We'll come back to Anthony outside of the cut because we'll do a little beer bong or something maybe. M, does CD deserve more than $32 million in your opinion? I'm fine giving him more than that. Like if you had asked me before the reports came out, hey, does $32 million get it done? I would have said no, probably not. I mean, that's probably like the bare minimum, which it is the floor. But if he take 33 right now, like what are we doing? Go do it. Why are we waiting? Makes no sense. So he deserves, you could argue he deserves 35 and just as good as Justin Jefferson with his age and production. He absolutely, at minimum, it's 32. From Brett Johnson, does the Sunday ticket lawsuit mean the salary cap will drop and that's why Jerry wasn't paying anyone? So I do think this is a good question to ask, actually. And the answer is, well, maybe, but I don't think so. And I'll kind of ramble on this here for a little bit. If those of you that don't know, the NFL Sunday ticket lawsuit, the NFL lost. And they got to pay a several $1 billion worth judgment out because it violated antitrust rules or whatever. Now, the issue is, this case is not over. NFL's going to appeal. And if they win the appeal, they don't owe any money. And if they don't win the appeal, they're going to appeal again. And they'll appeal all the way up to the Supreme Court. No, by the way, we do realize Clarence Thomas has a Super Bowl ring from Jerry Jones. And I'm not going to get political. I think the NFL would win that case if it got to the Supreme Court. I really do. Now, I don't know if it's going to get there. Who knows? And maybe that impacts the salary cap. But if the NFL has to go to a per-team setup to pay for the out-of-market stuff, that benefits the Cowboys. They get more money. So I actually don't know how it impacts them. And if it does, with the way the legal system works, the courts work, I think we're years away from seeing it all play out. And by then, we're going to add the 18th game to the NFL regular season. And by then, we'll be 20 weeks long of the regular season. And whatever billions of dollars you lose, you probably recoup for the new TV deals that come along with it. So it's a really good question with answers that are not as cut and dry as I think some might make it seem. I don't know. Everyone else seems to be operating businesses as usual. So what are the Cowboys doing? So of the big three deals, that's CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, and Dak Prescott, how many of those deals get done, whether it is now or before free agency starts, because that's your real cutoff for Dak? Let me know in the comments of today's show. Tiffany, how do they not use or pay CeeDee Lamb? Well, they use him plenty. He's actually a very high usage rate relative to most teams in the NFL. It's just that they aren't good at doing contract stuff, and that's super, super frustrating to me. From Brian Perry, then I want to get to the other Chris B super chat that got overlooked in the chaos of Anthony McMillan delivering like a champ. Will the Cowboys sign a running back? If they do, I think this would come through via roster cut down time. There's not really anybody out there right now. Alvin Cook, Kareem Hunt, Jared McKinnon. I think Zeke's better than those guys, and you guys have heard my Zeke comments in the past. So I think they're more likely to wait till cuts happen to make another move in the backfield. It's just not a good group of free agents out there. From Chris B, this season is going to be a disaster the more I think about it. I am worried about that. And this is the CeeDee Lamb stuff is kind of tilting that way. The Parsons Hooker stuff could tilt that way. Here's my concern. When basically everyone on your organization is on a one-year deal, like there's like 4 guys the Cowboys realistically couldn't move on from if they wanted to after the season, and that includes like trading players away, like with the way the contracts are set up. It can very quickly go from it's about the team to I got to look out for myself. This is now about me and my future. And that goes for the players, the coaches, executives, all of it, outside of the Jones boys. That's kind of what happened in 2019. That turned kind of ugly internally. That is the downside of what the Jones family has set up for the 2024 campaign. Now, we will be here for each and every game of it. And hopefully it's a playoff run and maybe things go differently this time. But yeah, I am worried about that. We'll be here, though, through thick and thin. Hit that sub button for more free Cowboys YouTube videos. From Don Smith, would you trade one of the offensive linemen for a running back like Herbert or Pierce? Depends on which offensive lineman. And I don't think Dameon Pierce is available, but Khalil Herbert, maybe. Like, I'm not trading TJ Bass. I don't think this team would trade away Brock Hoffman. You're not going to trade one of your top 5 starters. But if I can move Chuma Edoga, if I can move Austin Richards, if he doesn't win the backup job at left tackle, if I can move Matt Waletzko, if elite player for sure, Josh Ball's available, like, yeah, I would do that in a heartbeat from that perspective. I just don't know how likely it is that other teams are going to want those linemen. I wonder if Richards and maybe Waletzko, if he's healthy, would have the most value. So will the Cowboys make a trade before this season ends? Y for yes, N for no. Go ahead and sound off for me in the comment section of today's video. Brokov, CeeDee Lamb for Olave and 2 firsts. Who's the bigger idiot? Honestly, it might be the Saints. Olave's a really good young receiver, and those firsts could easily end up being top 10 picks. Clever idea. For me in general, with the Lamb stuff, I'm not trading him. Like, I'd probably do that deal because you're getting 2 firsts and Olave. The Saints probably wouldn't do it. But, like, I don't want to trade away my top 5 receiver. Like, I just don't want to do that. I'm going to have a very hard time finding that. You can find something similar, but you actually do have to pay players at some point. You can't just not pay anybody. That's not how that. You actually have to spend a certain amount of money on the for the Cowboys to hit the salary cap floor. Scott Hoover, I think Lamb is the fuel for a 2025 rebuild. Not as valuable if Dak leaves. You can't reliably start the rebuild if Dak can stop your best offer. No trade clause killing Dallas. I think if you wanted to get fuel for your rebuild, it's probably Micah Parsons. Because if you trade away Lamb, you have 0 number 1 receivers, and Cooks won't be here long term. So you're looking at a rebuild in 2025 with Jalen Tolbert and Jalen Brooks and Ryan Flournoy. Like, that's a terrible receiving core. I think if you do want to rebuild, which, okay, it's a plan at least, I think you do whatever with Dak, which you should have done months ago and worked with him and tanked for a year. We're past that point. You trade Micah for the picks, and you use that asset to go quarterback, because you then have to get a legitimate receiver. Like, if you're going to rebuild with a young quarterback, you need to surround them with playmakers. Like, Lamb, I would argue, should be the core of your rebuild. It's not going to take you 5 years to rebuild unless you suck at finding the next quarterback, which is, I guess, is a valid concern there. I think Lamb should be the centerpiece of a potential rebuild. Joseph Thomas, why don't we get Zach Moss from the Bengals? Well, this is the last question, by the way. You had a chance to get him. You were interested. And apparently the deal he got for the Bengals, 2 years, $8 million, was simply too much for the Cowboys. I think is insanity. He's not available because the Bengals are going to make him their starter.